Hello, ye landlubbers. I be the Captain Obsessed Movie Man, O.M.M, and today we be looking at the Disney adaptation of Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island, the best adaptation of that story.
What about Treasure Planet?
Shut up. Well, to the movie review mode. Cut the camera. Cut the camera. Cut the camera.
Hello and welcome. I'm the Obsessed Movie Man, O.M.M.
Get the hell out of my chair!
Young Jim Hawkins comes upon a map that leads to the treasure of a pirate. He and some rather pompous Englishmen decide to make it their quest to seek out the treasure and get the assistance of a one-legged cook named Long John Silver, who is clearly not a pirate, and finds a crew who are also clearly not pirates. Throughout the film, Silver becomes something of a father figure to Jim Hawkins, but will that be enough to sway Silver from his own pirate-like plans? First thing off the bat, the action and fight scenes are a ton of fun. We get sword fights, a barricade assault, guns, and a lot of dark imagery.
I mean, for the love of Davy Jones, we see a man get shot in the frickin' face, and even a little bit of blood, yar!
Interestingly, in 1975, some of the violent elements were removed so that Disney could keep the G rating when the film was re-released, but all of them were thankfully restored in the 1992 re-release.
Enjoy the carnage, me buckos, yar!
And there's a ton of pirate tropes in the film, such as the black spot, a parrot on a pirate's shoulder, a treasure map, a one-legged pirate, and the infamous rum song.
You know, yo ho ho and a bottle of roe, that there song be from that there book. Yar. All these tropes be known now, but who, might ye be asking, is the one who inspired them all? Oh, that be none other than old Long John Silver. Yar! I'm done with this pirate shtick.
Oh, thank God.
Shh.
In terms of pirates, you really can't get better than Long John Silver. For starters, he's been credited with being the main inspiration for stereotypical pirates. From the way he talks to the image of him with the parrot, it can all be traced back to Silver. This must have been such a fun character to people who are not too experienced with pirates, as Robert Newton single-handedly and single-leggedly carries the film. And speaking of the one leg, it used to confuse me as to how that effect was done, until I learned it was very simple. Newton simply tied his leg back so it would not be seen.
I can only imagine how uncomfortable that must have been. He has it around his leg in the film.
I've never seen the film.
He just said it was tied to, he tied his leg to his back.
How do you tie your leg to your back? Fine, give me the belt. Give me the belt. You have it all wrong.
What?
You have it all wrong. It's a belt. You're doing it all wrong.
I don't care, it's for the show. I have no strings. As you can see, there are... Aha! Alright, Jim, me boy. Oh my God, does he do this? Oh God.
And he's down.
I fall in, I can't get up.
Hold on, we need this right here for you.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
This is what happens when you fail at acting class. Ow.
Gotta do it. Yar, hey, Long Johnson. Oh gosh, what a shame.
And another way that Long John Silver was an inspiration to the pirates that we know today is that Geoffrey Rush used elements of Newton's portrayal when playing Captain Barbossa in the Pirates of the Caribbean series. But as for Silver himself, he is also very intelligent. You can see the gears turning in his head when he's interacting with anyone, thinking of ways to manipulate the situation to his own advantage. One of the best examples of this is when he orchestrates the death of Mr. Arrow, who was in the way of his plan at the beginning of the journey. Despite all this, the film emphasizes his relationship with Jim, even more so than the book. There's something of a father-son relationship between the two, which would carry over into other adaptations of the story. Silver even threatens Jim at gunpoint near the end, but relents when he realizes that he cares about the boy.
Speaking of Jim, let's talk about him because he's, the damn protagonist of the film.
Actor Bobby Driscoll, who was a Disney child star, played Jim.
You probably already know where this is going.
I'll make this short and get it out of the way. Bobby Driscoll was kind of screwed over by Disney, where they dropped him and he eventually died pretty young due to drugs. It's a real shame because he was a good actor, and what Disney did to him, both the person and the company, is actually one of the big things I do have against Disney in general. But let's talk about Driscoll in this film. It's actually cool to note that Driscoll is probably best known for voicing Peter Pan, another pirate-related film. There are some odd moments with him, such as some of his facial reactions, and it is a bit noticeable that he's the only one with an American accent, but despite all this, he plays the role well. He's resourceful and quick on his feet. He can even defend himself when need be, such as fighting a grown-ass pirate not once, but twice, even though the second time was by accident. I do wish they gave him more of a reason for going on the treasure hunt though, and how he helped his mother run that lodge like in the beginning of the novel.
But who needs character motivation? Off you go, Jim! But this does lead to some criticisms I have.
I could complain about how dumb Squire Trelawney is, but truth be told, he was pretty accurate to his book counterpart, and it's always amusing to see an over-the-top pompous Englishman portrayal. What I will say is that I think that the character of the marooned Ben Gunn is a bit rushed here. I know it's a film and you need to move stuff along, but only a minute after landing on the island, Jim meets Ben, who then quickly tells Jim everything he and the audience needs to know, and then that's it. We don't really get to know Ben all that well. All we know is that pirates marooned him and that he's crazy. So in that regard, it feels like he was only here to give exposition instead of being a character that impacts the story. There's also a really bizarre film edit near the beginning of the film. Jim spots a pirate in Silver's bar, and once the pirate runs out, Jim, Silver, and a group of men go to the door. After Silver orders the men to go after the pirate, we fade to Jim and Silver going back inside. It's not a new scene, and no time has passed at all. They just go back into the bar and continue talking.
The best way I can explain it is if I showed you what it looked like. And that's why it looks so weird.
And as a fan of the book, I will also say that I do wish we had more of the Jim Hawkins versus Israel Hands tension, which was a lot longer in the book, but here it's again one quick scene which kind of makes me wonder why we even had to know Israel Hands' name if he's just introduced in a scene and then gets killed in his second and last scene.
But oh well, Disney kind of redid that for Treasure Planet. Gee, thanks Disney!
Trademark by TAGMovieReviews.
Oh, and one last thing for me to complain about. Sometimes you can easily tell that the sky background is just a curtain.
Come on, Disney! Even back then you probably had enough money to buy an iron. I mean, who would be that lazy to make it oh so obvious that you had a curtain as a background?
Good evening, and welcome to my show. Watch it freely, and of your own free will.
Oh no.
To sum up, I think I can say that this film is just as much of an influential pirate film as the later Pirates of the Caribbean series. In fact, maybe even more so. Most of the tropes have come from not just this film, but from the novel itself, and Long John Silver is just as good of a pirate as Jack Sparrow, Barbossa, and all the rest. The film has good action with a surprise amount of violence for a Disney film, entertaining characters, and an engaging story that keeps you hooked. And yes, that was a pun. So drink up me hearties and enjoy Disney's Treasure Island.
Thanks! This here be an O.M.M. review, and this be Captain O.M.M. signing out. Yar. Hello, and welcome ye landlubbers. I be Captain Obsessed Movie Man, O.M.M. And today, we be talking about the Disneyland Fudge. And reviewers tell no tales or get their lines right.